I'm about to give up on this video. 4th time. Today I want to share with you about homeschooling your teens to toddlers or toddlers to teens, whichever direction you'd like to go. Hi, my name is Heather and I am the mama behind this account, Wholehearted Homemaking. It's kind of a tongue twister, working on the name. But I talk all things motherhood, homeschool, and homemaking, and today I want to talk about those families that have a wide range of children. I have children from 2 to 14, and we have been homeschooling for 8 years, so I have not arrived. I don't have a graduated child. This is just my 2 cents. We'll try to make it a short video, but this comes down to about 5 basic tips, and then I'll give you some caveats or stories, or whatever you want to call it, ramblings, if my video will record this time. So 5 tips for homeschooling children who are toddlers all the way to teenage years, because they all they have some similarities. Yes, there's differences obviously between a teen and a toddler. Toddler is very non-dependent or very dependent, and teenager is very independent, but they got a lot of similarities. Boy, they're moody, they're crabby. They really depend upon food and rhythms, and yeah, the emotions are high. I have 6 daughters and 1 boy. My youngest is the boy, so take that also with a grain of salt where I talk here, because I am kind of in the girl world for the most part. So my 5 tips, I'm going to give them to you rapid fire, and then if the camera will hold, I will tell you a little bit more about each one. So very first and most important is to know your child. Obviously, know your child. They are unique and individual people. You need to know who your child is to be able to best homeschool them. Get outside. Seems like obvious from a Charlotte Mason mama. Do things together. Please, please, please do things together. Know your schedule or routine. And finally, watch the trigger points. All right, so a little bit about each one. So knowing your child seems like an obvious one, but you kind of need to know your child to best educate them. A lot of times in public school, private school, traditional school, whatever you want to call it, you are trying to take a square peg and fit it in a circle hole, and it doesn't always work. Sometimes they're forced through. I say that as a person who has a degree in education, who taught for a few years in a private school and was public educated. It's not a one-size-fits-all, though they try to make it that way. If you are homeschooling your child, I encourage you, I implore you, know your child. And I don't mean you have to be like me and go and create your own individual curriculum for each child, because frankly, it's nonsense. It's a lot of work. I adore it. I love planning. I love reading books and preparing for it. Sorry, it's getting windy here. But it's not for everyone. I'm just gonna be honest. It's not for everyone, because it is a lot of work. But knowing your child could be just finding the curriculum that best suits them, whether it's math, history, whatever. Knowing your child will help you best direct their education in a plethora of ways beyond curriculum. Next thing is to get outside. Obviously, Charlotte Mason mama, I love my outside time. It is beneficial in so many ways, and I'm not going to run you through all the things. Go read Charlotte Mason's Home Education. It talks about what to do with 9 and under, the benefits of getting outside. Read Balanced and Barefoot. That'll tell you the benefits of non-organized sports outside and risk playing. It's a good one. There are so many other books. Nature Fix, The Last Child in the Woods, so many things that talk about the importance of getting outside, and I'm going to leave that to those experts. But trust me, you want to get outside. You yourself want to get outside, because trust me, you'll be a better homeschool mama if you get outside, and your children will be better. Whether it's that you get out at a regularly scheduled time, and I don't mean 1 o'clock every day we go outside. That might work for you. We're not that militant. But okay, we're going to spend at least an hour every day outside. And maybe 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the afternoon. That's what we have to do a lot of times in the winter. You do what works for you and your family. I'm not going to regulate that for you, but get outside. If you're at a pressure point in the day, that math lesson is just, everybody's tempers are getting short. Go take outside. We're going to go outside. We're going to walk around. We're going to go for a jog. We're going to go walk to the post office. We're going to go check the mail, take out the trash, whatever. Take a break. Go chop some wood. You're going to do something to get outside, come back, and start again. I promise you it will help. It will. Getting outside is beneficial to toddlers and teens. A lot of times teens are the ones who struggle. They have a lot heavier coursework, so it's harder to get them to do that. If you can encourage them to take schoolwork outside, that will help. But also just encourage them to have free time outside. Put that into your schedule, that they need free time. Just because they have a book report and an algebra lesson to do and violin lessons that they need to practice doesn't mean that they don't need the outside time too. So get them outside, whatever it takes. If you need to assign it, then assign it. I have been known to tell my oldest she has to go outside for X amount of time, and she sets a timer and goes outside, she reads a book, she comes back in. Not quality outside time, but she got outside. I have actually had to do that less now, I've noticed. So know your child, get them outside. The next thing is to do things together. Now, we used to do a full family educational experience all together using My Father's World and Simply Charlotte Mason, and they were great at the time. They don't work for us now. Some people I know, Heather to Sow a Seed on Instagram is doing Simply Charlotte Mason and several others. Alveary, or what's the other one? I always forget its name, but there's another one. And they do group setting type learning for large families, and that works for some people. My personality and my children's personality, that didn't work for us. So instead I schedule specific morning times or collective times where we do things together, and that seems to help my children. But again, it comes down to knowing your children. Maybe doing most of your lessons every day all together helps. I don't know. Know your children. Know yourself, so that way you know what works best for you in your different time periods. At that time, we had a lot of independent readers, and that was a blessing to me because I couldn't get to everyone. I couldn't do all the readings by themselves like Ambleside Online. That was just not going to happen. I didn't want to do videos like Rebecca and Bob Jones. I wanted my kids to have that Charlotte Mason learning, and that required us doing a lot of it together. Now I have mostly independent readers, and the world is a totally different place on this side. So I encourage them to do a lot of things independently, and we set aside some time every week to do things together. And we make sure that we set aside some time every day to do things together, even if it's just Bible. So I encourage you to do things together because there's so many benefits from it. The little kids learn from the big, and the big learn from the little. The little kids are picking up on school things. Like your little kids, if they sit in and they want to on the big kid lessons, they will just absorb so much more. Like my 4-year-old wanted to know how to draw the state of Maine the other day. What 4-year-old who lives in the Midwest even knows about the state of Maine? And so she was excited to do that. I've had preschoolers throwing out Shakespeare names because they listen to their older siblings reading Shakespeare. It's really a beautiful educational system when they can come alongside it. But it's also good for the big kids to be with the little kids, because while they may not learn educationally from them, unless they're trying to be a teacher, they may learn a lot that way. Just by helping, coming alongside them, doing life with them, they will gain so much generosity, patience, just character virtues that we want for our children, more than what I just listed, will come just by having your big kids do things with the younger siblings, whether it's read a book, help them put on their shoes, take a walk with them, work in the garden, whatever it may be. I promise you that the big kids are benefiting from that time with the little kids in many ways. So you want to know your child, get outside, do things together, and then know your schedule, rhythm, routine, whatever you want to call it. And be flexible and give yourself grace. That's the main thing with the scheduling. I've done rigid timetables and made it work. I have done kind of a free-for-all, chase a butterfly thing. That didn't work so well for us. We liked a little too many butterflies. But find what works for you and your family and know it. And that kind of ties into the last point, which is know your trigger points. Now, yes, you need to know your trigger points as mama. You need to know that if you were up all night nursing a baby and then get up early and make breakfast for everyone, you're probably going to crash after lunch. And you need to know, I need downtime. But you also need to know your children and their trigger points. For example, my son, when he was just a baby and nursing, we could push lunch to 12:30, maybe even 1, get all our school done. It was nice. He became a toddler. We could no longer push it. He became the Hulk at noon if we did not eat immediately. So, it's knowing your schedules and being mature enough to give yourself grace and flexibility when those changes come along, because the interruptions in our day, a lot of times we see them as interruptions because we have a plan. But if we would instead look at it with the eyes of Jesus, we would see that those interruptions are little calls to ministry. The diaper that needs changed in the middle of Act 1, Scene 2 of our Shakespeare reading is frustrating. We finally got into the book. We were finally doing something, but this child needs me. So I need to meet the need. And it's frustrating, and it's not a glamorous job. I mean, nobody's signing up, hey, let me change diapers all day. I love it. But it is a humbling experience, and it is a way to show love, because you're showing care for that child. And sometimes the care that you have to give to your little ones is you need a few minutes, and then I can help you. That's a growing time for them. They're learning patience. But it's, as mothers, we have to guard our reactions to those interruptions, to those changes in our schedule, those things that just are frustrating. And for me personally, I've had to learn to trust the Lord that this interruption is here for a good reason. And writers like Sally Clarkson, Cindy Rollins, Mystie Winkler, and Gloria Furman have helped me to see more with those gospel lenses, the opportunities throughout the day that I called interruptions and struggle points, trigger points, that they're opportunities to minister. If I had a friend whose car broke down outside my house and they needed something, I wouldn't turn them away because I was in the middle of the lesson. And the point I guess I'm trying to make is that we as homeschool mamas need to make sure that we're meeting the needs. If we're busy doing stuff with the toddler and the teenager needs help, then we need to say, oh, hey, we need to help them and find the way to do that, whether it's waiting a few minutes or you do this so I can go do that. It's just finding those opportunities, and we are the great problem solvers, and it's not always the most joyous and glamorous job, but knowing our schedule and knowing ourselves and the rhythms will help us to better embrace those interruptions and see them as ministry moments. Knowing our trigger points in our day will help us prevent those problem areas, meltdowns and struggle points. So, don't do too many commitments, but you have teenagers, so you have some commitments. It's a great balancing act. And I think Mystie Winkler in her Simply Organized book puts it really well, that we like to see the balance as it needs, when we're balancing our life, it needs to be balanced. But balancing our life sometimes means this one weighs more than this one for the time being. And then the next time, this one weighs more. It's not always going to be an even balance of everything in our life. Sometimes, the teen needs the priority. They're going through a struggle point. And the toddlers are going to need to watch TV or do something. I hate to say that one, but they're going to need to have something else because you can't give them the time that they need. And sometimes it's going to be the other way. And your toddlers or your infants are going to need you more than your teens. And you have to be able to embrace the grace that balanced isn't always equal. It's that over time, they're getting what they need from you. And it's a hard line to walk. Motherhood is not easy, but motherhood is a ministry. And if you are home educating your children, you simply get to do it more. You have more opportunities to have those ministry moments. You have more opportunity to know your children well and to provide them what they need in the moments. So I hope this kind of rambling has been a help. Those 5 points, knowing your child, getting outside, doing things together, knowing your schedule or routine, and watching for trigger points. Those are my 5 tips. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below, and I will be happy to answer as best as I can. And I thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day, and let us go forth and serve the Lord and our families wholeheartedly.